आसन उपकारी त्रिलोकीनाथ तीर्थंकर परमात्मा महावीर स्वामी ने महाराज तुम्हारा भावंदन। अनंत उपकारी तब सम्राट गुरुदेव एवं गुरुणिमया पूज्य श्री चरणों में महाराज तुम्हारा भावंदन। राष्ट्र संत परम गुरुदेव ना श्री चरणों में महाराज तुम्हारा वंदन। एक डॉक्टर પોતાના ક્લિનિકની અંદર
Listening to Puja Dollar by Mahasatiji. She's talking about a case where you're entering a hospital, and when you enter in the hospital, and in front of the doctor, two patients are sitting right in front of him. Which is sitting in a hospital, admitted in the hospital, who are undergoing treatment in the hospital. In front of the doctor, there are two patients. One of the patients is in a state of coma, and the other patient has undergone a bypass surgery. Now, the patient which has undergone a bypass surgery, the doctor is not worried much about him because he knows within few hours, though he has undergone an option and he is unconscious right now, within a few hours he'll definitely come out and be conscious back again. But what about the patient who is in coma? What do you think? For that patient, the doctor is extremely worried because he does not know when is he going to come out from coma. Similarly is our worldly life. When we are in this world, but are we not in a state of coma where we do not know when are we going to become conscious and get aware, awaken to our soul? In this worldly life, what do you think? Are you in a state of coma where you are completely under the control of illusion and your entire soul is completely paralyzed and it is not able to awaken itself and realize its true self? And hence, to get our illusion completely clear, Param Gurudev has been daily, on a daily basis, just like to make the patient come out of coma. If the patient needs, the doctor would also conduct some or the other operations. Similarly, Param Gurudev is also every single day by giving his precious preachings and discourses is actually undertaking operation of each and every illusion which is overlying the souls of these young ascetics. Because as long as the soul is surrounded by karma, as long as the soul is under the influence of negative emotions, he is definitely not going to awaken to his soul. That is why Param Gurudev also says that there are only three words: I, me, and myself. I, me, and myself. Which we really need to look into, because these are the three words which are actually paralyzing the existence of our soul. And as long as our soul is paralyzed, it will never awaken and we will never be able to purify and cleanse ourselves. We always say, especially in the life of an ascetic, that how much you are doing every act with full consciousness and full alertness. You may be picking up anything, you may be eating anything, you may be amidst any sort of work, any sort of ritual in the life of an ascetic, but how much are you conscious at that time of how much are you conscious about your soul? How much are you aware that whoever is performing the act, it is the soul and not the body? And this is what God has said, that religion is nothing but consciousness. Religion is nothing but alertness. Religion is nothing but awareness. Awareness every single point, every single time, whatever we do, wherever we are, whatever act we may be performing, all the time our consciousness should always be that whoever is doing is the body, and I am a soul and I'm completely different from this body. Just like few days back, Gurudev had also explained that even when you're walking, if you start talking, that you might lose consciousness and you may not be able to attentively look down on the road. As an ascetic is supposed to walk not while talking, but he has to completely looking and keep on checking every 3.5 feet distance as he keeps on walking to make sure that there are no living beings which he might hurt or harmfully injure them by stepping on them. And that is why if he is conscious while walking, then he shouldn't talk with anybody but just remain in the existence of his soul and make sure he does not hurt any living being. And that is why one of the most important principles that Paramatma has taught to these young ascetics is that you have to always do everything very carefully. With jatna, jatna means making sure that your act is not acting as a hindrance to any other living being. For example, you have taken a book and now you're just keeping the book on the desk. So when you're going to place the book on the desk, you have to first inspect the area on the table that it does not have any living being which is lying over there. Because if you just keep the book without inspecting, and what if there is a tiny creature which is lying on the desk? You might hurt that living being, and you might even be responsible for death of that living being if you just accidentally, without looking, just place your book on the desk. That is why Paramatma has said that an ascetic always leads a life which is full of consciousness, alertness, and awareness. Also, not only when you place the book on the table without inspecting, you might hurt any living being over there, any 2 cents, 3 cents. For example, maybe an ant is lying over there or any tiny mosquito is over there. But beyond that, Paramatma has in his ultimate and infinite wisdom has taught us that not only this 2, 3 and 4 cents being, but also air. Yes, air itself. It does not mean that air having microorganisms, but Paramatma has taught us that air itself is a one-sensed body. Air itself is a living being. So when you place the book very harshly on the table, then you might hurt even the one-sensed air-bodied beings over there. And that is why, since Paramatma has blessed us with so much of his infinite wisdom, it is always the duty of we all disciples to always try and accept this knowledge from him with utmost respect towards him. Just like Gautam Swami, who always used to very respectfully sit in front of Paramatma to seek his knowledge. So much so that Paramatma has even said that when you are sitting and if you want to have call out to any of your elderly ascetics, you cannot call them out loudly. You'll have to go closer to them and then you can ask them whatever you want to. But you usually must have seen in the worldly life when somebody is sitting in one room and they have to call for somebody from the second room, you just usually shout or scream out for that individual's name. But Paramatma said no. As an ascetic, you cannot scream out. As an ascetic, you cannot speak loudly. You have to be very alert even when you are talking. So whenever you're talking, whenever you want to call out to any of your elderly ascetics also, you have to go to the place where they are sitting and then you can talk to them and ask whatever your queries be. And when we scream out, we don't only disrespect Paramatma's rules and regulations, but we also disrespect the elderly. Similarly, when you're walking and accidentally somebody passes by you, and when that person is passing by you and he just accidentally happens to give you a push, and when somebody just accidentally gives you a push and just passes by, and you might get upset, you might get disturbed that they just passed by, they didn't even pay any attention that they hurt me or they pushed me or they put me on the side. So, while walking also, when we accidentally happen to even push anybody, then at that point of time we should immediately seek for his forgiveness. Because if you do not seek for forgiveness and you just happen to pass by, then that person will always remain disturbed. And you will be the culprit for his disturbance. You will be the culprit for his mind getting upset. So Bhagwan has said that this is not only externally we need to take care of living beings in the form of non-violence, but when we hurt somebody mentally also, then this is also a form of violence. Yes, what depth of knowledge Paramatma has said, that definitely we have to take care that we do not hurt any living beings, which is nothing but external non-violence. But internal non-violence is when we do not hurt anybody even with our words, or we do not mentally disturb anybody, then it is called as internal non-violence. Paramatma has yet again described that in the life of an ascetic, there is always a chronological order from elders to smaller. Like we just saw a few days back, that 9 souls got the divine Rajoran and they accepted the vows of renunciation. So the individual who got the divine Rajoran first, he is the first in the lead. And then similarly the second, third and fourth. So all the smaller ones, they have to respect their elder ones. And over here, explaining the importance of these chronological order of elders, here Dolabai Masadiji is giving us an example of Mekumar, who at night, when all the ascetics were going to retire off and go off to sleep, everybody was sleeping in the hall, and unfortunately Mekumar, who had just accepted the vows of renunciation, finally, because there were so many ascetics in one single room, and he was the youngest among all of them, sequentially all the elders started sleeping, and when it came his turn, the only place which was left to lie down on the floor was closer to the door. So Meg Kumar, earlier who was a prince, but now today that after accepting the life of an ascetic, where did he get to sleep? Yes, since he was the youngest, he was no longer a king, but now he was a younger ascetic, and hence, as per the rules and regulations, he got a turn. His position, his place was such that he got to sleep next just to the door. And every time at night when any of the ascetics had to go for some or the other work, they had to every time step over him and go. And many a times by stepping over him, they used to hurt him. They used to accidentally even touch him or accidentally even disturb him. And every single time all these ascetics keep on disturbing Meg Kumar, he used to get extremely agitated and irritated. Because till yesterday morning he was a king, he was a prince, and he was being offered all the luxuries, all the comforts, and paid so much of respect. And today, just after accepting the life of an ascetic, now that he has become an ascetic, that is, he has become a seeker, the word used commonly is the bhikshu. So now he is lying near the doorsteps. He gets extremely offended and he goes to Bhagwan Mahavir and tells him and complains about all the ascetics. That I don't want to accept such a life where people just insult me, where people keep on disturbing me, where people do not respect me. I want to give up on this life. Just imagine, just one night of disturbance and he thought of changing over his mind. At that time, Paramatma explained to him that, O Meg Kumar, just think about your previous birth where you had been an elephant. Yes, in your previous birth, in your past birth, you were an elephant. An elephant who was lying in the middle of the forest when the entire forest had caught fire and all the animals were rearing helter and skelter, and at that time, you were the one who gave shelter to all the animals. There was a big trench in that forest and you went and hid inside that trench, and slowly, so many small animals started coming to hide inside that trench. It is said that the entire trench was completely filled with all the animals, and then there was absolutely no space left. And at that time, Mekumar, you, as an elephant, lifted your one leg and donated that much of space of one leg to another small animal. Imagine that time you just stood on 3 feet and you experienced so much of pain and agony, so much of discomfort, and you met death in such a dreadful state. But it was not the pain and agony, but because of the kindness, the compassion that you showed towards other animals, that today you have been blessed to get a birth of a prince. Remember your past birth. In your past birth, you had undergone so much of discomfort. You had bared so much of hardships for the betterment and for the compassion and for giving comforts to other. And now in this birth, you cannot bear just small discomforts of one single night. Awaken. O Kumar, awaken to the truth. Awaken to your own self. Awaken that you have not accepted this life to enjoy comforts and luxuries, but you are here to accept this life to free yourself from all these cycles of life and death, from all these cycles of discomforts and comforts. But it is said that it was just one day of the life of an ascetic of Meg Kumar that he got disturbed. But as and when his guru, Paramatma Mahavir, gave him a lesson, taught him the moral, and explained him the importance, he realized and he again became stable in his life of ascetic. Similarly, Param Gurudev, just like Bhagwan Mahavir, has been, with the help of his preachings on a daily basis, trying to stabilize all these ascetics also in a similar fashion, because it's a new life that they are dressing to. It's a new life that they have welcomed, and it's a new life that they are stepping into. So, how they have to behave, how they should be walking, talking in every single walk of the life, in this new life, Paramatma Guru is in the form of Gurudev guiding all the ascetics every now and then.
દિવસ સુધી
Can you
એ
imagine?
પગ ઉપર
Can you imagine? For 3 long days, this Kumar in his past birth, when he was an elephant, and he lifted his leg, and one rabbit came beneath his leg. One rabbit came beneath his leg, and now you know that rabbit is lying beneath your leg. And now, if you step down, he will definitely die. Imagine the compassion that you had as an elephant, that you did not step down. You bared all the hardship, you bared all the pain, and because of that severe pain and agony, you met death after 3 long days of standing on 3 feet and keeping your 1 feet raised up in the air for giving the gift of life to that small little rabbit.
કર્મના ઉદયને તો કોઈ રોકી નથી શકતું. ક્ષણિક અસાતાનો ઉદય આવી પણ જાય. અને મેઘને કહે છે બસ 3 દિવસ તું પડી ગયો અને બસ એ જ સમયે તારું પ્રાણ પંખેરું ચાલ્યું ગયું અને આયુષ્ય પૂરું કરીને તું આ મેઘના ભવમાં આવ્યું. અને આ ભવની અંદર આવ્યા પછી જાગૃતિને પામ્યા પછી તને ઠેબુ વાગી પણ ગયું અને તારા ભાવ બદલી ગયા. ઓહો, જ્યાં પરમાત્મા મેઘ કુમારને આટલા શબ્દો કહે છે, મેઘનો અંતરાત્મા જાગી જાય છે, સંયમમાં સ્થિર બની જાય છે અને પોતાની ભૂલનો પસ્તાવો કરે છે કે મારા પરિણામો કેમ બગડી ગયા. બસ આપણે જાગૃતિ એ જ રાખવાની છે. કદાચ ગમા અને અણગમાના પરિણામોની વચ્ચે આપણા પરિણામો કેમ સ્થિર રહે, કારણ કે
So, learning from this Meg Kumar, we also have to take a lesson for today that whatever we get in our life, we have to try and adjust with it. And whatever we get only according to our good luck and our bad luck. There's a possibility that right now, because of your good luck, you're receiving everything. But there is a possibility that in the future, just like right now, good luck, in the future, because of your bad luck, sometimes you can even receive discomforts and inconveniences somewhere or the other. At that point of time, also, you just have to remember the same principle that whatever I receive in my life is only and only because of my good and bad luck. There's a possibility she's teaching the renunciates, she's teaching the ascetics over there that there's a possibility that tomorrow when you go for seeking alms, you may not get food which is convenient, food which is palatable, food which is suitable to you. But you still have to accept it. So when you come back home and you realize that okay, the food that you have had, it is not tasty, then remember you are going to have this food not for its taste, but you just have to maintain your health so that you are able to perform your spiritual practices. History speaks of a saint who had once gone to seek alms, and when he had sought alms, he had got a vegetable which was completely poisonous. Yes, if you had had even a single morsel of that vegetable, even a single spoon of that vegetable, he would have definitely met death. So the guru, when he saw that the vegetable was absolutely poisonous, so he said that you do not have this vegetable and you go somewhere deep inside the jungle and dispose this entire vegetable where it does not harm any other living being also. But you do not consume it and dispose it, discard it in a manner where it does not hurt even any other living beings. And it is said that a disciple is one who always abides by the rules of the Guru. As per his Guru's commands, he went to a place which was absolutely safe and free from all living beings. The moment he put one spoon, just one drop of that vegetable on the land, he saw so many ants all of a sudden coming. And the moment these ants came over there and started eating that vegetable, the ants started to die. He felt so offended, he was so disturbed that if just one drop of this vegetable can kill so many ants, what if I discard and dispose this entire vegetable over here? It will kill so many living beings. I do not want to be responsible for the death of so many numerous living beings. Rather than that, imagine what this brave soul must have done. What he thought was, instead of other living beings, why not I only consume the entire vegetable on my own so that only I, one living being, will die compared to other so many numerous tiny living beings getting rid from their life. Such were the beautiful emotions of these Dharmaruchi and Gara, and such was his dedication towards his life of self-interest, of self-restraint, for compassion of all these living beings. So a beautiful lesson we've got from Pujya Dolabai Mahasadiji today, that how we should be accepting comforts at all walks of our life, and whatever comes in our way, we should always assume it to be a part of our good or bad luck. And very soon now we shall listen to Param Gurudev, who shall grace us with his preachings and his discourse. Let us all, as all of you are eagerly waiting to listen to Param Gurudev, with our hands join in deep devotion and our head bowed down towards his gratitude for all these days that he have been teaching us, and just express, God, that we are truly grateful to have been blessed with these kind of teachings in today's generation. Let us all eagerly await for Param Gurudev's discourse.
पधारो मारा गुरुजी पधारो 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 मारा गुरुजी पधारो 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 मारा गुरुजी पधारो 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 मारा गुरुजी पधारो.
And here we can see on screen Param Gurudev. Let us all welcome him and start today's discourse by listening to the auspicious Navkar mantra.
Padmam Havai Mangalam, Padmam Havai Mangalam. आज एक सेवा मूर्ति की विदाई को पांच साल बीत गए हैं.
Today, 5 years have passed away when one soul was a symbol of selfless service, who was an epitome of selfless service, has passed away.
उनकी आत्मा में
A soul who had so much of compassion and love for every living being. Pujya Jayant Muni Maharaj Saheb, you must have heard his name. But in reality, he was a complete combination of selfless service and infinite wisdom. On screen we can see Pujya Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib. He was known in the entire India among all the ascetics of Indian territory. It is said that he was known for his wisdom, he was known for his knowledge on one hand, and on the other hand for his service also. There are so many souls who always exhibit their knowledge, who always exhibit and have ego of how much they know. But there are only very few souls who can actually digest all the knowledge that they have actually acquired and remain modest towards it. Whoever has spent days or months or even few minutes in his presence, in his proximity, he can never ever forget this personality, this Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib, for the rest of his life. For the very first time, when Param Gurudev was travelling in his vihars towards the East India, towards Kolkata, he was travelling across towards that territory only with one intention. Currently, there are 3 families in the Gondal religious sector. One is the Jas Parivar, one is the Uttam Parivar, and one is the Pran Parivar. There are 3 families where different groups of ascetics have been divided. It is said 80 years back when Jasrajji Swami and the ascetics who accepted renunciation under him, they are known as the Just family. Approx 60 years back, Acharya Puja Purushottamji Maharaj Saheb, he started his vihar, and all the disciples who accepted renunciation under him, they belong to the Uttam family. And the third family means Guru Pran's Parivar. It is said that he was such a great Guru who had such a place in so many numerous souls of the entire Gujarat territory, Gujarat state. So these were the three families. So these are the three branches under Dungarsiji Maharaj Sahib. One is the Jas family, one is the Pran family, and one is the Uttam family. There was one more branch under Dungarsiji Maharaj Sahib, which had also separated that time, which is known as the Sanghani family. But Param Gurudev is trying to say that amongst these three families, Jasrajji Swami, Uttam Parivar means Purushottamji Swami, and Pran Parivar means the Saurashtrashi Pran family. Pran Gurudev had four main disciples. The first one was Tapodhani, the elderly Ratilalji Maharaj Sahib. The second was Jagjivanji Maharaj Sahib. The third was the younger Ratilalji Maharaj Sahib. And fourth was Pujya Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib. So four disciples under Guru Pran. And out of these four disciples, Tapsamrat Gurudev further had three disciples. One is Hasmukh Muniji Maharaj Sahib, one is Gajendra Muniji Maharaj Sahib, and one is Param Gurudev himself. Jagjivanji Maharaj Sahib and Jayant Muniji Maharaj Sahib, in the form of his disciples, we had Girish Muniji Maharaj Sahib, Pujya Jagdish Muniji Maharaj Sahib, and all other saints. Param Gurudev is saying that today I am trying to explain you the entire heredity and legacy, because in this Guru Pran family, be Jagdish Muniji Maharaj Sahib, all the ascetics who are there even presently, these are all the ascetics which belong to the Guru Pran family. And as Just family, we have Dheeraj Muniji Maharaj Sahib, and from Uttam family we have Jasrajji Maharaj Sahib, who is currently situated in Chennai, and Devendra Muni Maharaj Sahib. Today, when Guru Pran's prime disciple, one of the prime disciples, Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib, who was a very different personality, the amount of knowledge that he had manifested from within. For years, he resided in Kashi, Benares, and gained knowledge of Sanskrit, Prakrut, Nyay, Shatidarshans. He had learned so many scriptures. And that is why he was given a title as Param Darshanik. His knowledge was truly unparalleled. It is said that even the wisest of the men who used to go to him and hold discussions, they used to bow down their head in due respect towards him. And when all the devotees used to listen to his flawless and incessant discourses, they used to feel as if the omniscient gods have been actually gracing their blessings on him. He had himself created and written so many scriptures. But in spite of being so knowledgeable, just one story changed his life completely. When Param Gurudev had been in his proximity in Peterborough, his ashram, and when he spent days over there, and at that time, here we can see Param Gurudev in presence of Jayant Muniji Maharaj Saheb, when he used to go to him to gain knowledge from him. The picture we saw was about 10 years back, when Param Gurudev had travelled. We can see him holding Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib's hand. The way he had welcomed and the way he had love and so much of care and concern for Param Gurudev. It is said that even for the smallest of the ascetic, he had so much of love and kindness and care. One day, Param Gurudev asked him that in spite of being highly knowledgeable, in spite of gaining so much of wisdom, why did you not travel all across India? And why did you choose to stay in a small place like this, Peterborough, and spend your rest of your life in just offering service to all the tribal people? Yes, he used to stay in Peterborough and offer service to tribal people. Why did you not travel in the entire different parts of India and spread this message, spread your knowledge to thousands of them? Why did you choose to stay over here for selfless service? And that time, to this question, Param Gurudev is saying that he told him a story. There was a very rich man who used to daily follow lots of spiritual practices. And the very next door neighbor to this rich man was a very poor man. He was financially highly unstable, and that poor man wanted some money to buy medicines for his wife, to educate his children, but he did not have any money. He was very poor. It is said that this rich man would daily go to the religious centers, do spiritual practices, samayik, pratikan. He used to look at his neighbor. He used to see, and he even knew that the neighbor is very poor and is in dire need of finances. But he used to not do anything. He used to daily chant the Navkar mantra, chant the rosary, but he had never ever even thought once that he should go and help his neighbor. He was extremely rich, but he never even for once thought to help his neighbor who was so poor. Jayant Muni Maharaj Sahib at that time said that though this is a fictional story, but it is a true story. It is said that finally, when this rich man met death, and when he had to go. And at the same time, it is said that both the rich and the poor man, both of them met death at the same time. And it is said that when they, after both of them meeting to death, it is said that after this death, in next birth, the rich man was given 1,000 years of life in the hell, and the poor man, for thousands of years, he was given birth in heaven. Yes, very surprising, right? The rich man, in spite of doing so much of religion, he was given the birth of a hellish being. When he questioned that why is such a thing happening to me? In spite of being so religious, how can I be born in hell? To this, he got a reply that yes, because of all the religious practices that you had done, I'm not giving you. You are not getting birth as lakhs of years as a hellish beings, but only for 1,000 years. But in spite of having money, you not even for once thought of helping your neighbor, because of which your neighbor's son could not study, and out of frustration he committed suicide. So if your neighbor's son committed suicide, it was not because of their financial weaknesses, but it is because of you, because you did not even for once think of helping your neighbor. When he started telling the story, it is said that Jayant Mani Maharaj Sahib started crying, and Param Gurudev asked that if this is the story, why are you crying? He said that in spite of having so much of money, if he cannot be of any help to his neighbor, the poor man's son committed suicide, and the poor man's wife, because of her ill health, she was suffering so much of pain, so much of agony, so much of illness. But at that time, the rich man did not turn out to be a good neighbor, and he did not help him in any which ways, and she also met death in an extremely miserable state. And that is why, because you observed all the rituals of a religion, but you did not observe the ritual, or you did not observe the religion of humanity. And that is why you are not been given lakhs of years, but thousands of years in hell. But that poor man, it is said that that poor man, when somebody was in need of little milk, was extremely hungry, and he didn't have anything to offer. He did not have anything to offer, but he just had very little milk with him. So from very little thing also what he had, he thought of feeding that other man and giving him some milk. So just because of this very small amount of donation, it was not his donation, but it was his feeling of care and concern for other living being, and that is why he is going to be blessed of getting birth in heaven. And after listening to this story, Jayant Mani Maharaj Sahib said that I also decided the same thing, that no matter however rich I may be in my wisdom, but if I am not able to help and offer selfless service to others, if I, after gaining so much of knowledge, if I can just think of my upliftment, but I cannot think about the upliftment of all the tribal people, then what is the use of this knowledge which I have gained? Listening to this, the way he expressed his feelings, that what is the use of gaining so much of knowledge when you do not offer service to anybody. From this, Param Gurudev drew a very beautiful message that whatever spiritual practices you do, unless you offer selfless service, this is not going to be of any use. It is not going to bear any fruitful result. It is said that is why, in spite of being highly knowledgeable and wise, still he chose not to spread his wisdom across, but he chose to stay in this tribal area, and there he built up an eye hospital where so many tribal people are undergoing cataract surgeries, and all the poor people from all across the areas are getting the benefit. So, this proves that he was a true wise man because he gained all the knowledge, but he was able to actually implement the knowledge. He was actually able to digest the knowledge which he received by offering service to so many people. So remember, whatever knowledge you gain, that is not only for preaching or giving discourses to others, but that is always a true knowledge is that which can always be useful for offering service to the needy and underprivileged. Today is his fifth death anniversary. 5 years have passed by after his death, and it looks as if it is just yesterday's talk that he was around Param Gurudev. Param Gurudev said, in this East India, you will not find a single family who will not feel highly obliged to Jayantmuni Maharaj Saheb. Be it Kolkata, be it Ranchi, be it Chas Bokaro, be it Jaria, be it Tata Nagar, or be it Katak, be it Bermo, even the smallest of the cities, smallest of the village, be it Raurkela, be it Bilaspur, be it Banaras. Just talk about any city, any village, any state in the East India. There's not a single house or a single heart which must have not been left untouched by His grace. Param Gurudev is saying that if you go to check out this entire area, not a single soul would have not paid highly tribute to this great saint. And he used to sit for hours and hours, and he used to explain and impart his wisdom to even the commonest layman coming to him. And it is said, Peterbar, the ashram where he used to reside, not only the ascetics of this Gondal sector, but all the other sectors like Digambar, Shwetambar, Deravasis, all of them use to go and pay visit to this great saint. And the kind of compassion and love he had for all the saints and ascetics who were coming to his ashram, he used to personally look into care and concern of all the ascetics, or every devotee used to come to his ashram. And today, the small eye hospital which is lying in the center of Peterbag, but when you go and look at this hospital, you truly feel that Jayantmuni Maharaj Sahib might have left, his soul might have left the body, but the soul has definitely not left the acts of kindness that he had done. We can see over here how he used to sit with all the small little students of all the tribal areas all around, even at the age of 80-85 years. Every every month, every 2 months, he used to go to the nearby villages. He used to teach all these tribal people the importance of non-violence. And he used to make sure that all of them give up on violence. He used to teach all these tribal people different kind of mantras, different types of penances, this type of austerities. And this way he had transformed the lives of so many tribal people. Param Gurudev is saying that if such a great soul would have remained in the world, he would also maybe would have a family, and he would be having so many kids, and maybe he would have been able to give love, compassion, kindness, and make maybe 20, 25 souls. He would have been happy, but he just left one family. And when he left this worldly life, he could do betterment of thousands and thousands of individuals. Because of him, so many tribal people have given up on addictions. So many of them have given up on non-veg foods. So many of them have started off following a life of complete non-violence, only and only because this one great soul left his small family and accepted the whole world to his entire family. Along with Param Gurudev, many so other Masatijis also stayed over there and tried and gained, grasped the true essence of the knowledge that he had arrived. It is said that whoever used to step in his ashram, nobody after spending over their days and months would ever want to go away from him. Such loving was this great saint. It is said that in this Peterbar area, Param Gurudev is saying that the Janmani Maharaj Sahib would never ever have to ask for any donation. People used to just come over there, and devotees with so much of devotion, belief, and trust in him, they used to just contribute towards the making of this ashram, towards the contribution of making this eye hospital, which has been going on in full fledged and helping all the tribal people around. Param Gurudev is describing such a nice incident that all these tribal people, they are so illiterate and ignorant that when they start losing their eyesight, they feel that they are never ever going to get back their eyes again. But they immediately come to this hospital built up by Jainmani Maharaj Sahib in this area of Peterborough, and the moment they come over there, just small little operation and they get rid of their cataracts and all their eye problems, and then they start receiving their eyesight back again, and the pleasure, the happiness that they receive, all the blessings go in favor of this Jain Muni Maharaj Sahib. It is said that if you consider a lamp can spread light only in a room, but when you become But Jainmani Maharaj Sahib was not a small lamb who could only relate his own small little family. But he was that soul who had lit the entire world with his knowledge, with his service. Today, instead of preachings, Param Gurudev is saying that he has taken this opportunity to sing praises of virtues of this Jainmani Maharaj Sahib, because when a society forgets of all the favors, of all the debts, all the obligations that had been done by such a great soul, then that society will never progress. But a society who always keeps on recollecting on all the favors of such great souls, that society always goes ahead and progresses. And that is why today, thinking about all the favors, expressing deep gratitude towards such a great soul who had been a reason of betterment of thousands and thousands of individuals and living beings. And may we also try and gain inspiration from him, that we also always try to implement our knowledge in the form of always offering selfless service to not only human beings but to all the living beings of this world, is what we can draw from his life. Param Gurudev is recollecting when one last time he had been to Peterborough, and just in the middle of the program, all of a sudden, we can see here on the screen that all of a sudden Jainmani Maharaj Sahib put around a shawl on his shoulder, Param Gurudev's shoulder, and said that I, in the form of this shawl, I'm shouldering all the responsibilities to you. And that is why Param Gurudev is saying that though I may be far away from that city, from that place, but still I try to offer, Param Gurudev tries to offer some or the other service in this Peterborough. Param Gurudev is saying just last year there was the opening of this Guru temple in Peterborough, and when he had been then, he felt as if Jainmani Maharaj Sahib was truly present in every corner of that temple in Peterborough. Today was a beautiful occasion to express our deep gratitude and our heartfelt thankfulness towards this great soul, Jainmani Maharaj Sahib. Let us all join our hands and bow down towards his qualities, and may we also develop great virtues like him. Param Gurudev is saying today early in the morning he had gone towards the Junagadh city, and that is why he got a little late for today's discourse. Coming Sunday, today being a Friday, and tomorrow on Sunday, 5 saints
महासती जी
5 saints and 45 female ascetics, 5 male ascetics and 45 So 50 altogether ascetics on this Sunday, all of them are going. They are going to go to the Junagadh religious center. All the committee members of the Junagadh Sun had requested Param Gurudev that for once we want all the ascetics, all the saints to come to our religious center and bless the center. Param Gurudev is saying that all this while he never used to go to all these different centers. He said that all this while Param Nimishwaraji Mahasati first used to look into all this management. Since now they have taken the vows of renunciation, now she cannot go, and hence Param Gurudev is saying that now I realize, and that is how usually happens in this world, that we do not realize value of any individual as long as they are there, but it is only when they are amiss that we realize that importance, and that is what Param Gurudev experienced in terms of management, and that is why he had personally gone over there to see the religious center of Junagadh. And now we shall bring an end to today's preaching by listening to Manglik from Param Gurudev.
शरणं पवज्जामि साहु शरणं पवज्जामि केवलीपनतं दमं शरणं पवज्जामि चार शरणा दुखरणा मंगल करना अवर शरण नहीं कोई जो भव्य प्राणी आदरे अक्षय अविचल पद हो
अमृत वसे लब्धितना भंडार गुरु गौतम ने समरिए मन वांछित फलदातार भावे भावना भाविए भावे दीजिए दान भावे धर्म आराधिए भावे केवल ज्ञान भावे पद निर्वाण
तिक्खुतो आयाहीणं पयाहीणं वन्दामि न मनसामि सक्कारेमि सम्मानेमि कल्याणं मङ्गलं देव्यं चेयं पज्वासामि मत्थेन वन्दामि तिक्खुतो आयाहीणं पयाहीणं वन्दामि न मनसामि सक्कारेमि सम्मानेमि कल्याणं मङ्गलं देव्यं चेयं पज्वासामि मत्थेन वन्दामि दिक्खुतो आयाहीनं पयाहीनं वन्दामि न मनसामि सक्कारेमि सम्मानेमि कल्याणं मङ्गलं देव्यं चेयं पज्वासामि मत्थेन वन्दामि
દેવનુપ્રિયો નિશાબેન મહેતા કાંતિવલી આજ ભારતીને હસમુખભાઈ મહેતાનો બર્થડે છે. આજના વેબકાસ્ટને એમને લાભ લીધેલો હતો. એમની પણ ભાવપૂર્વક અનુમોદના કરીએ છીએ અને આશીર્વાદ આપીએ છીએ. હસમુખભાઈની સેવા ત્યારે વોચ વોરા
And now, Param Gurudev, we can see on screen we can see a very old lady who has taken the fast. She is such a brave soul who has accepted the penance of fasting until death. And today is the third fast. She's experiencing a little discomfort in her body on the third day of fast, and that is, Param Gurudev is saying that it is very difficult for a soul to leave the body, as Paramatma himself has said in the Agam scriptures that death itself is a very painful procedure because it's not easy for the soul to leave the body. It is very painful, but still, at this age, you are definitely being very strong and you're quite healthy. And just keep on, Gurudev is inspiring her and blessing her. Just keep on constantly dwell in the true self of your soul, that this body is not mine. It is very temporary and its relation is just for few more days to go. But pray to Paramatma so much that for in the future births to come, may I always stay connected to you, Paramatma. May I always surrender myself with deep devotion towards your lotus feet. Param Gurudev is trying to make her confess all the mistakes that she had done in this birth, that Prabhu, maybe not in this birth, but in this, towards the end of my life, I want to accept the spiritual practices to such a deep extent that maybe in the future birth, I may just be 9 years of age and I'll be ready to accept this life of renunciation. Gurudev is inspiring her that you do not be dependent even on anybody else for you to do any spiritual practices, but you just keep on dwelling into your own self, in your own soul, and experience Bhed-Gnan, which is a state of difference between the body and soul. And now today, Param Gurudev is blessing her with today's fourth fasting vows. Look at the brave soul. She's saying that since 3 days she has been fasting and not had a single morsel of food, but not just food, she's not had even a single drop of water. Such brave is this soul, and today she's taking the fast of continuing further ahead without accepting even a single drop of water, and she is all ready to fight against her death. Truly blessed is this soul. Let us all, with our hands joined in deep respect, bow down towards this soul who, at 81 years of age, in Ghatkapur, Mumbai, she has been practicing religious rituals in so many years, and today, now towards the end of her life, she is also here to fulfill the third wish of a household votary, which is that when will that day come in my life when I will be giving up on all four kind of meals and observe the toughest of the austerity of accepting fast unto death with a balanced state of mind, with a very vigilant state of mind where very consciously she is accepting death and witnessing her soul differentiating from her border. Truly blessed is this soul. Let us all feel ourselves also to be blessed to witness such a soul in today's generation. May that day come in our life also when we can also observe such tough austerities, and may we also, just like her, make our death also a festival. Let us all applaud and appreciate this penance and austerities and wish for her completely healthy state of mind and body. She's just expressing that she's not able to lie down or sleep, and that is bound to happen because now the body has not had even a food or water at all. Look at her devotion. She herself is fasting, but she's expressing right now that she wants to offer something to Param Gurudev in his seeking bowls.